For today, in the name of freedom, we take the battle to them.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another MCU video. Today we have something, a little bit different. No theories, no news, no casting, nothing like that, although they did reveal yesterday that the guy that plays Tombstone in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse will be playing him in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Not only confirming that Tombstone is in the movie, but also the guy who is playing him. But let's get down to this. So, of course, a lot of people well, it's old news really, but still, no one was really happy with the build-up that had been going on in the MCU for the last 4 years, really, because it was all sort of building up towards Kang Dynasty, which of course, ended up not happening for a plethora of reasons, really. But ultimately, the build-up to that movie was kind of crap because even Loki season 1, I hate the ending of Loki season 1 to be honest. And it just didn't really feel like anything to me. And that felt like such a huge thing to set up. And then Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the only project here that was 100% completed from beginning to end with the idea that already implanted in the audience's minds that Kang is going to be the villain. This is the first project that was completed, with this idea in mind. And that completely fucked it because, first of all, it takes like half the movie for him to actually show up after the opening sequence. Then Loki season 2 obviously is after the whole Jonathan Majors controversy thing, so they had to, sort of trim that down. And yeah, they just sort of gave up and ended up pivoting to Doctor Doom. Now, obviously, with RDJ playing Doctor Doom, it's a tricky thing. Not story wise. I'm talking pay wise because obviously RDJ, while being a good actor, I'm not going to deny the man is a great actor. I had to watch Oppenheimer in order to validate that because, to be honest with you, I hadn't seen anything with RDJ apart from the MCU and Doolittle. But yes, I am confident he can pull off Doctor Doom, but still, I don't think that he is worth the amount of money that people pay him. 85 million or whatever it is for 2 movies. That is ridiculous. Although, to be fair, he is the main villain of the movie. But still, I can't help but see this alternate reality where we were building to Doctor Doom from the start of Phase 4. Because I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of people say, oh, you could have done like 3 movies on Doctor Doom. You could have done like a whole phase on him. I'm going to be honest with you. I think you could have done 3 phases on Doctor Doom. Because you obviously had 3 phases building up to Thanos, right? And Thanos wasn't really in them that much because, people complain about the lack of build-up to Doctor Doom because, Thanos, we've been building up to Thanos for so long, he showed up throughout the MCU. He shows up in 2 post-credit scenes and a cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first Guardians of the Galaxy. That is it. 3 appearances still is, 2.5 appearances, let's just say, that Doctor Doom had before Doomsday, because the only time we ever saw him was in the Fantastic Four post-credit scene. And that was, oh god, I hate that scene so much. But still, if we had been building up to Doctor Doom after Avengers Endgame, this is how I would have done it. So, you would have Phase 4 essentially be, Victor Von Doom, right? You would go stage by stage for each phase. So the first phase would him purely being Victor Von Doom. No Doctor Doom, no powers, no super tech, nothing like this. Just him being Victor Von Doom. You don't need him to be Doctor Doom just yet. Because even at this point, you could have him be a worthy adversary of Reed Richards. He doesn't need to be Doctor Doom for that, you know? I mean, hell, he is basically evil, evil Reed Richards combined with Iron Man, you know? Very, very smart, and obviously very rich. Now, granted, if it wasn't for him, you know, literally being named Victor Von Doom, this would essentially be just any sort of rich billionaire guy who hates like a childhood friend. Well, quote unquote, friend. Still better than what they did in Fantastic Four 2015. But yes, you could have maybe one Fantastic Four movie here, you know, because obviously Doctor Doom is primarily a Fantastic Four villain, right? I mean, that's what he's known for. So probably one here, I would say. Maybe mid. I think mid phase 4 would be a good place to have a Fantastic Four film, and that is where, you know, we introduce Victor Von Doom, and he could perhaps show up in a few other projects. Because, you know, they doesn't mean that the Fantastic Four are the only heroes in their world. Obviously, in the movie that we ended up getting, yes, they are the only heroes there. But you could make movies set in that universe where Victor Von Doom is the villain. It doesn't necessarily only have to be Fantastic Four. Because if we only build up to Doctor Doom through Fantastic Four films, then that would mean you'd need like what? Like 7, 8 Fantastic Fours? That doesn't really make much sense to me. So, yes, you could just have Phase 4 just be Victor Von Doom, and then, you know, maybe at the end of Phase 4, you have him be damaged, you know, have his face completely ruined, and that is when we get the mask and I guess the armor as well, because, you know, walking around with just the mask is gonna look pretty fucking stupid. Yeah, I feel like at this point, it's a bit too early. You know, if we are going to do the whole Mephisto backstory with his mother and that causing the damage, I feel like it should just be an incident related to the Fantastic Four, maybe. You know, have like a Zemo situation going on where with Zemo, the Avengers were saving the city, but in that battle, his you know family died. With here, you could have the Fantastic Four saving the city, but something happened and it damaged Victor's face. I don't know, that to me would be the coolest way to end phase 4 and introduce Doctor Doom is to have that, you know, that awesome bit of dialogue. Oh, you know, this would probably be the post-credit scene of the final film of phase 4, which, you know, would be him having the mask made and stuff, and he'll be, you know, that's when he does the whole never again will mortal eyes gaze upon Victor Von Doom. There's only what I've become. There's only Doctor Doom. And he puts the mask on. That would be so freaking cool. And then in phase 5, this is when he becomes more of essentially what he was in like the 2005 Fantastic Four, the Rise of Silver Surfer, to where he is very much technology based. This is where I said that he can use, you know, his technology as Victor Von Doom, but here he will, you know, make it even more suitable for his new look and new goals mainly. He'll create entirely new technology for him. And, you know, obviously I don't want to say evil Iron Man, but come on, realistically, technology-wise, it's going to be on the same level as that, in my opinion. Maybe if it wasn't so overused in the MCU, you know, he could have used nanotechnology. But literally almost every character in the MCU has nanotech now, so it would have been completely meaningless. And I would probably do this in a Fantastic Four movie, maybe in the first third. You know, I don't know about literally the first film, but definitely within the first couple films of Phase 5 to have the second Fantastic Four film. And this is where we will really get to see Doctor Doom with the technology. Because I think a good example of Doctor Doom, you know, using his smarts to his advantage, in live action anyway, is when he uses when he uses the Silver Surfer's board in Rise of Silver Surfer, because there he becomes ridiculously powerful. Obviously, nowhere near the level of his comic book counterpart, but still a good match for even, the entire Fantastic Four combined. So yeah, this to me feels like a much more gradual progression. And while I can understand, people being like, "Oh my god, why is this so drawn out?" I genuinely do think that this is the way to do it, is to build up to it gradually and don't just absolutely rush it. So yes, have that, and obviously, given that he will, lose in this Fantastic Four film, but he'll find a way to escape in the third film, right? This should be towards the end of phase 5, because at this point, still, right, still very much reliant on the technology and his intelligence. I would say that this is where he creates the Doom bots, probably. I think it's a good place to introduce the Doom bots because, of course, you know, he will have the most advanced technology in the world, for his suit, his weaponry, everything. But, of course, you can't just have one villain. Otherwise, it'll just be a rinse and repeat of the second Fantastic Four movie. And bada bing, bada boom, Doom bots are the answer. So yeah, that to me seems like a good way, for to progress his character in Phase 5. Is in Phase 5 he, becomes the more tech genius. I mean, he was already a genius before and very much involved with his technology, but compared to what it is now, his tech that he had in Phase 4 would be seen as primitive. Phase 5 is when it really starts to ramp up. But obviously, that is far, far from the full potential of this character. And as for the ending tease of Phase 5, this is going to, lead into the magical side of Doctor Doom, because Doctor Doom does become the Sorcerer Supreme, and this is what I'm interested in. As much as I would love to say that in that universe he would become, he would go to that version of Kamataj, but would they really allow a character like Doctor Doom to be there? This isn't like Abomination. You can't just rehabilitate him. Okay, you cannot be that stupid. The only way that I can see this happening is if he basically just goes full on villain mode and he like holds the entirety of Kamataj, he just holds him hostage, and that his technology basically bypasses their magic, so they can't destroy it, they can't teleport or anything like that. I feel like that would be very villainous. Obviously, Doctor Doom, I mean, he is a villain, but there's still that, like, somewhat heroic side to him, okay? But I don't know. I feel like that would be the only way that I could see him learning the magic is if he basically just holds everyone hostage and says, "Right, teach me, bitch." I don't know. That's the only part that I'm like a but iffy on. Not really sure how to do that. But yes, this obviously does teach. This shows that we are now leading into the magical side of it, and basically the entirety of Phase 5 is going to be Doctor Doom now being able to use his technology along with his magic, and he will be the Sorcerer Supreme. Essentially, you have regular Doctor Doom at his most powerful, most unstoppable. And unlike the first two Fantastic Four films where he's the one that flees, this time he is so powerful that the Fantastic Four are the ones that are going to flee. Because honestly, as I said earlier, you can't just have him be in Fantastic Four films. I feel like you gotta chuck in some other heroes as, their movies, and then have Doctor Doom show up. And then maybe the next time we see the Fantastic Four will be, in the post-credit scene of that film. But to be honest with you, I don't feel like you should ever have the post-credit scene of a movie be an action sequence. So I think that it works best to have the whole Fantastic Four Doctor Doom fight happen at perhaps the beginning of the Avengers movie, which would be Avengers Doomsday. And this time the team just stands absolutely no chance. Now, I'm not expecting, obviously, I am thinking more so of them just escaping. I'm not expecting them to go the Fortnite route where Doctor Doom like wraps up Reed Richards into a ball and just keeps him in a glass box. He keeps Sue on a chair. He uses the Human Torch's heart to like power the castle furnace, of Castle Doom. And he tears the thing apart and uses it as a throne. I'm not expecting that. But then, yes, that is how Avengers Doomsday would open up. And then Doctor Doom would take the Beyonder's powers, and we would then get God Emperor Doom. This, I think, would be a much, much better build up to the character of Doctor Doom as opposed to just him touching Franklin's face, in like for like a 2-second scene. I think that having Phase 4 mainly rely on Victor Von Doom, and then having Phase 5 rely on Doctor Doom, using his more advanced technology, leading into the magical aspect of it. Having Phase 5 involve him actually using the magic along with his technology, and then, the Avengers movie, him becoming God Emperor Doom, thus essentially completing his transformation into the best Marvel villain that you would ever have. I think that that is the way to do it. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is my idea. Now, obviously, I am not a scriptwriter, so I can't think of exact specifics on what would happen, but that is just my general idea, my general pitch for what would happen, in an alternate reality where Doctor Doom was built up to like a proper threat. He got the build up that he deserved. As much as I'm glazing this guy, you can't have him be in like 4 or 5 movies a phase. It's gotta be maybe 2 or 3. I mean, that's what I thought they were gonna do that with Kang. Any movie that they couldn't think of what to do for a story, or at least having a villain, just chuck in Kang. I mean, that's what the original Fantastic Four was supposed to be, right? When John Watts, I think John Watts was supposed to direct it. They were gonna have Kang be the villain, a Kang variant. And I was like, oh, that's an easy way to cop out of not having to think of a villain. But yes, let me know what you guys think of my pitch for the Doctor Doom build-up. Do you think it is the worst thing in the world? But more so, do you think that it's better than what the MCU has done? Because to be honest with you, if I hear someone say the MCU did the build-up to Doctor Doom better than what I did in this video, I will actually delete this channel. But yes, please let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, then please leave a like, subscribe, and goodbye.